Okay, guys, we're going to try this again. I've been having some technical difficulty with the sound and blurriness in the video, so hopefully this is better. What we're talking about here today is just the first video for tables, graphs, and equations, and linking them to word problems is what this unit is going to be all about. I want to start with what linear equations are, which is what you're going to be dealing with primarily in the 8th grade. Linear equations are straight lines. And to give you something to compare, this is a linear equation. It's a straight line. It's going up, so it'll have a positive slope, which we'll talk about in a second. This is a straight line, so it's a linear equation. It's going down, so we'll have a negative slope. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. But to compare, this will be 9th grade. This is called a parabola. It's kind of like a U or something like that, or a V maybe. But this is what you guys are going to be dealing with when you go to high school next year. So just to compare, this is 9th grade. These are called quadratic equations. These are linear equations. They're straight lines. And it should be kind of self-explanatory. When you look at the word linear, it's got line in it. It's spelled L-I-N-E-A-R, so line. That's where it comes from. So, all right, so linear equations. Linear equations look like this. They're in y equals mx plus b form. You also hear it called slope form of a line, but the bottom line is this is how you write a linear equation. Y is your output. When you have a table, that's what comes out of the table. X is what you put in, Y is what you get out. So X is your input, Y is your output. But this is the part we want to focus on right here, the M and the B. M, to this point, we know is coefficient. From this point forward, it will be known as coefficient and slope, but you'll hear it referred to as slope for the most part for the rest of this year and for most of next year. This number out here by itself, this will be called y-intercept. To this point, we know it is constant. So now it's constant and y-intercept. But again, this will primarily be called y-intercept for the rest of this year and for most of next year. So what do they do? The slope gives the line its steepness. So the bigger the slope, the more steep the line will be. The smaller the slope, even down to a fraction, the more horizontal the line will be. So this number, the coefficient, which we now call slope, says how steep or how not steep the line is. B, or the y-intercept, this just simply states where we cross the y-axis. So you can see in orange, I put a circle around where the line crosses the y-axis. I'm estimating it at +2. So the y-intercept for this line would be +2 because the line crosses the y-axis at +2. In this case here, where we have the line going down, it's crossing the y-axis at what looks to me about positive, probably could be +2 again, but I called it +1 in this case. So if the line is crossing the y-axis at +1, the y-intercept is +1. So again, linear equations, straight lines. In the word linear, you see lines, so think of straight line. Slope is the number that's next to x. It's what we know, as the coefficient up until this point. It gives the line its steepness. The other thing it does is it says whether it's going up or down. So if we have a positive slope, the line will be going up. If we have a negative slope, the line will be going down. And then the y-intercept says simply where the line crosses the y-axis at. It'll just be one number. If it's on the negative side, say if it crossed right here at -3, then the y-intercept would be -3. So slope, steepness of the line, y-intercept where we cross the y-axis, linear equations are straight lines. All right, that's the first video.